When I was in labor, my mother-in-law entered the delivery room without permission and ordered the nurses around. Afterward, she took the first photos and posted them before I even saw my baby. I didn't fight, I just uploaded one photo of my own because I gave birth to my daughter 2 years ago at St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa. I had pictured that moment for months. The first cry, the first time I held her, me and Nate crying together. I thought it would be peaceful, maybe emotional. What it actually felt like was being hijacked. Let me back up. Nate and I had been together 8 years before we got pregnant. His mom, Diana, had always been intense. Not cruel, but overbearing. She liked to insert herself into everything. Holidays, finances, even how I folded our towels. I always bit my tongue because Nate's dad passed away when he was a teen, and Diana leaned on him more than she should have. I tried to be understanding. I really did. When I got pregnant, she ramped up. She started calling the baby her little miracle. Not in a sweet way, in a territorial way, like she was the one carrying her. She wanted to be at every ultrasound, asked to be added to the hospital contact list, and even offered to stay with us for the first few weeks after birth to help. I said no, politely, then firmly. So we had a very clear agreement. Only Nate would be in the delivery room. I even signed a form at the hospital to make it official. I didn't want an audience. I didn't want commentary. I just wanted to focus. Labor started late on a Wednesday night. I was in so much pain I could barely speak. Nate stayed by my side, holding my hand, feeding me ice chips. He was nervous but sweet. Around hour 6, I asked him, "You didn't tell your mom, right?" He said, "Not yet. I'll text her once the baby's here." I nodded, grateful. But someone must have told her. Maybe Nate's cousin. Maybe she called the hospital herself. I still don't know. What I do know is that right as they were prepping me for delivery, I mean literally seconds before I started pushing, the door swung open and there she was. Full makeup. Big purse. Phone in hand. I was stunned. Nate stood up and said, "Mom, what are you doing?" But she brushed past him and walked right to the doctor like she belonged there. "She's probably panicking," she told the OB loudly. She always had a low threshold for pain. I was mid-contraction, sweating, crying. And she was talking about me like I wasn't even in the room. One of the nurses tried to usher her out gently. "We're keeping the environment calm for the patient." Diana waved her off. "I'm the grandmother. This is a family event." I looked at Nate, hoping he'd step in. He looked like a deer in headlights. "Mom," he mumbled. "Can you maybe just wait outside until—" "No," she cut him off. "She might need me. And I'm not missing this." Then she positioned herself at the foot of the bed like she was coaching a football game. I was in so much pain, I couldn't even argue. I just lay there, trying not to cry harder than I already was. She made comments the whole time. "You're not pushing right. Breathe from your stomach. Try screaming less, it's not helping." The medical staff were clearly uncomfortable, but no one forced her out. I was humiliated. I was in the most vulnerable, painful moment of my life, and she turned it into a performance. When my daughter was born, I didn't even see her right away. One of the nurses held her up briefly, but Diana stepped in front to take a photo. "Oh my God, she looks just like Nate," she said. They took the baby to be cleaned up, and I was still in the bed, trembling, covered in sweat and tears. Nate went over to the baby. Diana followed him, like a shadow. I just lay there, feeling empty. Finally, after maybe 10 minutes, a nurse brought my daughter over and placed her on my chest. It was the moment I'd been waiting for, but it felt tainted. I kissed her head and whispered, "I'm sorry," because I couldn't protect her even in her first few minutes of life. Then my phone buzzed. It was a Facebook notification. Diana had posted a picture. The picture of the baby, with my legs still in the background, my face blurred and exhausted, clearly taken during or just after birth. The caption read, "She's here, my beautiful granddaughter." I was honored to be there for her arrival. #blessed, #first photo, #miracle baby. My stomach dropped. Hundreds of likes already. comments from her church friends, from people I hadn't even told I was in labor. She stole that moment from me. The first photo, the announcement, the memory. And Nate? He just said, I know it wasn't okay, but she was excited. That's when I shut down. When the room finally cleared out and it was just me, Nate, and the baby, I asked him to give me a few minutes alone. I held my daughter tight, took one photo, just her little head, tucked into my chest.
No tags. No filters.
I uploaded it with the caption. Finally got to meet her. That was all I said. But everyone knew what I meant. Diana tried to play innocent later. I didn't mean to upset anyone, she said. I just wanted to share the joy.
I didn't argue.
I didn't cry.
I didn't explain.
But I haven't forgotten. Not even for a second. After that day in the hospital, I didn't speak to Diana for almost 2 weeks. She came to visit, of course, every day. But I stayed upstairs with the baby while Nate dealt with her. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I just couldn't pretend everything was okay. When I finally did come downstairs, she acted like nothing had happened. She tried to kiss the baby, asked if we had picked a daycare yet, then said, I saved the best comments on Facebook for you to see. Everyone thinks she looks like me. I nodded, didn't say a word. Later that night, I told Nate we needed boundaries. Clear ones. No more surprise visits, I said. And she doesn't get to post pictures anymore. Period.
He sighed.
I get it. But she's excited. Maybe just give it time? That answer told me everything. I wasn't going to get help from him. Over the next few months, the tension got worse. Diana kept pushing in. She'd drop by unannounced. If I didn't answer the door, she'd text Nate things like, I saw the car in the driveway. Is everything okay? She brought over baby clothes I never asked for, then got offended when I didn't use them immediately. Once, I caught her taking photos of the baby while she was napping and posting them with captions like, Snuggles with Grandma, nothing better. I confronted Nate again. She's crossing the line. This is my daughter, not hers. He looked tired. What do you want me to do? She's just trying to help. So I started setting my own rules. Quietly. I changed the locks when she showed up with her own key Nate had given her, just in case. I told daycare never to release our daughter to anyone but me or Nate. I didn't tell Diana the name of the pediatrician. I stopped answering her texts unless it was absolutely necessary. That's when the gossip started. Apparently, she told her church group that I was struggling with postpartum and that I'd become a little cold. She made herself the victim. The loving grandma kept at arm's length for no reason. Then I found out she was sending photos of my daughter to people I didn't even know, people I hadn't even met. A woman from her yoga class came up to me at a grocery store and said, I just love the little bows you put on her. I see her pictures all the time. I went home shaking. That night, I took down every baby photo from my own social media. I turned my accounts private. I blocked her from seeing anything I posted. And still, she didn't stop. She started texting Nate photos she found online of other kids dressed up like ours. Look how cute this would be for Easter, she'd write. Or, this is what I was going to get her before someone said no. It wasn't just annoying anymore. It felt like a campaign, like she was trying to control the narrative. Paint me as unstable and herself as the hero grandma trying to save her grandchild from a bitter mother. The final straw came 6 months after the birth. It was my daughter's half-birthday, a small milestone, nothing we planned to celebrate. But I woke up to find a full Facebook post from Diana with balloons, a custom graphic, and a caption. 6 months ago, my life changed forever. Watching this little one grow has been the greatest blessing. I may not be there every day, but she's always in my heart. I stared at it for a long time. She had posted another photo, one I hadn't seen before. One from the hospital. I had no idea how she even got it. I looked like a corpse in the background.
Pale.
Eyes half closed. The baby swaddled in a blanket, facing the camera. That photo was taken without my consent. And it was still being used 6 months later to write me out of my own child's story. I didn't say a word. I just made a new folder on my laptop. I called it Receipts. Every post, every message, Every inappropriate text. Screenshots.
Dates.
Comments. Because if Diana wanted to play games, to frame me as unstable, cold, unfit, I wasn't going to fight her in public. I was going to fight smart. It was around my daughter's first birthday when I realized Diana wasn't just intrusive, she was strategic. She'd started asking Nate more and more personal questions about our finances. How's work? Are you still handling the bills? Or is she doing that now? Once, she even brought over a stack of parenting books and left them on our coffee table with a note. Thought these could help. Being a new mom is hard, especially when you didn't grow up around babies. The implication was clear. I wasn't doing enough. Or not doing it right. And Nate didn't defend me anymore. He'd just say things like, she means well, or worse, maybe she has a point. That's when I started noticing changes in him. He stopped helping as much. Started working late, even on weekends. When he was home, he was either staring at his phone or agreeing with his mom about how parenting was so different back then, simpler. I asked him one night if something was going on. He said, "You're always tense. You don't laugh anymore. You're not the same." I stared at him and said, "Of course I'm not the same. I had a baby. I've been dealing with your mother. Alone." He didn't answer. That night, I checked his phone while he slept. I wasn't looking for cheating. I just needed to know if I was going crazy, if Diana had been feeding him things. She had. There were texts going back months. Long threads. She would send screenshots of my social media, my comments, even texts I'd sent to Nate. She would write things like, "She seems unstable. Are you sure she's okay being alone with the baby all day? You don't have to live like this. My friend's son just filed for 50-50 and got it without any issues. If you need to come home for a while, you know there's space here." And the worst part? He didn't push back. He'd reply, "I know. I'm trying." Or, "It's been hard, yeah." That's when it clicked. She wasn't just trying to take over. She was planting seeds, slow and steady, to make herself the more stable parent, the more trustworthy guardian. And Nate? He was starting to believe her. I took screenshots of everything. Then I made an appointment with a lawyer. I wasn't filing for divorce.
Not yet.
I just wanted to know where I stood, what my rights were, what would happen if this escalated. My lawyer was calm, professional. After I showed her the screenshots and explained the situation, she nodded and said, "You need to keep documenting everything, especially if you suspect they're building a case for custody." Custody. That word knocked the wind out of me. Was that what this was leading to? A few days later, something happened that confirmed everything. I got a call from DHS. A report had been made about possible neglect. The person wouldn't be named, but the caseworker gently told me that a grandmother had raised concerns about my mental health. She asked to visit the house. Said it was standard, routine. I agreed. The visit went fine. My daughter was happy, fed, clean. The house was safe. I even showed the caseworker some of Diana's texts. Not all, but enough to give context. Before leaving, she said, "You're clearly doing fine, but I'd recommend you be cautious. It's usually someone close who makes these reports." I sat on the couch after she left and cried for 2 hours. Because now it was war. This wasn't just about Facebook posts or unsolicited advice. Diana had tried to take my baby, and I was going to make damn sure she'd never get the chance again. After the DHS visit, I sat down with Nate and laid it all out. I showed him the screenshots, the texts from his mom, the photos she posted without my permission. The fact that someone, most likely her, had filed a false report against me, and now I had a case number attached to my name. He stared at the screen for a long time, quiet. Then he said, "She wouldn't do that." That was it. That's all he said.
No apology. No anger.
No concern that his own mother might have tried to interfere with our child's safety. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "You're really going to stand there and defend her? After everything? She just wants to be part of her life." "No," I said. "She wants to take over her life. And you're letting her."
We didn't talk much after that.
Something between us cracked that night, and it never healed. I kept going.
Quietly. Carefully.
I changed pediatricians and didn't tell either of them the new clinic. I spoke to daycare and gave explicit instructions. No one but me picks up my daughter. No exceptions. I started documenting every time Diana posted a photo or shared my child's name, even in church newsletters. I bought a small home security camera and set it up at the front door. Just in case. I changed my phone passcode. I started storing important documents, birth certificate, insurance, my lawyer's info, and my sister's place across town. I created a backup plan. A real one. Because I didn't trust them anymore. Not Nate. Not his mother. And certainly not whatever plan they thought they were quietly building behind my back. But then came the twist I hadn't expected. One morning, I got a message from a woman named Carla, someone I vaguely recognized from Diana's church group. She sent me a DM on Facebook that said, "Hey, I hope this isn't overstepping, but I thought you should know. Diana told some people you were in and out of treatment and that Nate was preparing to take over custody." I didn't believe it, but she said you were barely functioning. I just thought you should be aware. My hands were shaking. Treatment? Barely functioning? I replied, thanked her, and asked her to screenshot anything else Diana had said. She did, including a group message where Diana claimed Nate was going to talk to a family lawyer and that they had documentation. That same week, I found out Nate had opened a separate bank account. Our joint savings, the one we'd built up for 2 years, was suddenly $6,000 lighter. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. Just said, "It's still for the family. I just needed something in my name." I realized then he wasn't just failing to protect me. He was preparing to leave me. And he was arming his mother to help him do it. I looked at my daughter sleeping that night and whispered, "I won't let them take you." I meant it. And I had a plan. I spent the next 3 months putting everything in place. Quietly.
No fights.
No drama. Just focus. First, I took full control of the household bills. Nate had stopped paying attention anyway. He thought I was being cold and withdrawn, but I played the role just enough to keep him blind. I kept every receipt, every deposit record, every screenshot of the money he pulled without telling me. Then I opened a bank account in my name only. I moved my paycheck there. Transferred the little that was left of our joint savings into my daughter's name under a custodial account he couldn't touch. The law was on my side. I'd consulted my lawyer every step of the way. And then I set the final trap. I told Nate I wanted to go to therapy. Couples counseling.
He looked relieved.
"Maybe that's a good idea," he said.
It was.
Just not the kind he expected. We did 2 sessions. Just enough for me to document his detachment, his unwillingness to set boundaries with his mother, his refusal to admit the financial lies or social manipulation. Session 3, I went alone. That session, I made it clear. I was preparing for court. My lawyer filed first. Asked for full custody with supervised visitation. Not because I wanted to punish him, but because I didn't trust him not to hand our child off to Diana the minute I wasn't around. I had evidence. Messages. Bank transfers. False statements made about my mental health. The DHS report that never went anywhere because it was baseless. When Nate was served, he acted shocked. "You blindsided me," he said. I didn't argue. I just said, "I gave you a year to fix this. You used that time to let your mother build a case against me." He tried to move out and take the baby. I had already filed an emergency injunction to keep her with me until the hearing. Diana showed up outside the house, yelling from the curb. I didn't open the door. I called the police and handed them the no-contact order my lawyer had pushed through after the DHS incident. She screamed about how I was ruining the family, how I was mentally unstable. But the damage was already done, and the paper trail was long and clean. In court, I told the truth.
Calmly. Clearly.
I brought a binder. Real. Physical. Of every text, every photo, every financial move Nate made without my knowledge. I showed the court Diana's messages to church friends claiming I was unfit. I showed how she posted delivery room photos before I even saw my daughter. How she stalked us online. How Nate never once stopped her. The judge listened and ruled in my favor. I got primary custody. Nate got visitation, supervised for the first year, with a review after 6 months. Diana was legally barred from unsupervised contact. The judge called her behavior manipulative and potentially damaging. When we left the courthouse, Diana tried to approach me. I didn't stop. I walked right past her, holding my daughter close. Nate hasn't spoken to me directly since.
He pays child support on time.
He sees our daughter twice a month, in a center with a staff member present. His mom's name is not allowed to come up during visits. I moved into a new place. Changed my number. Started therapy. For me, this time, real healing. Sometimes I still see Diana's posts. Public ones. Vague quotes about broken families and mothers who manipulate. But no photos. No baby updates. Nothing that touches my life anymore. Because I took it back. She wanted to erase me from my daughter's story.
But now?
I wrote every word.